Sometimes tradesmen, no matter how many times you tell them that it's possible to make more money and it's possible to make €500 a day, sometimes they just won't believe it. And it's just as a result of all the years that they've been not getting the result that I know they can get, and that a lot of my clients, most of my clients, get on the regular. There's a process called segmenting the pipeline, and I'm going to explain to you now in detail what that means. And if you believe that you can't make the €500 a day, it's generally because you're failing on one part of this pipeline. So you've heard the term pipeline mentioned in business many, many times. Let me center myself there. You've heard the term pipeline mentioned in business many, many times. And you know what it is. It's basically work that you have ahead of you that people have committed to getting you in to do, but you haven't started and you haven't invoiced or whatever else. Now we're going to look at segmenting the pipeline, and depending on how much work you have in the pipeline will dictate how high or how low that you can price it. It's as simple as that. So we've got two parts. Our pipeline is split into two parts: the piece of work that's booked in and the piece of work that's not yet booked in and that we're working on. So the piece of work that's booked in, that's quite easy because it needs to be a minimum of 90 days long. The pipeline needs to be a minimum of 90 days long. So if you go on day 0, which means you've got no work today, up until day 30, that's what I call the survival zone. And when you price a job there, you need to price that job and you need to get that job no matter what. So if that means reducing your price to do the work, just to get a day's pay, just to keep the lights on, you need to do that. And that's what we call a survival zone. And you never want to be in survival zone. You want to get out of that as soon as possible. In day 31 to day 60, we call that the business zone. So that's where you can price the work that will give you a profit, cover your wages, and it will be a little bit more comfortable for yourself. And this is called the business zone. So we've got day 0 to day 30 is the survival zone, and we want to get out of there as quick as possible. And day 31 to day 60 is the business zone. Now, day 61 to day 90, that's the specialist zone. So if you can have a pipeline of work ahead of you that's 90 days long, the day 61 to day 90, that would be the specialist zone, where the only piece of work you take into the pipeline at that time is specialist work, and the specialist will always make more money than the generalist. So that's the first half of the pipeline is split into three: survival zone, business zone, specialist zone. Right, you've got that. So that's all the work that you have ahead of you. That's everybody who's committed to getting you to do the job. They're in that pipeline. Now, when we look at the other half of the pipeline, and now when we look at the second half of the pipeline, we're going to start at the end of the pipeline that's further away from you. So if we look here, you're doing the work here, and then you got day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way up to day 90. So there we go, right? So this is day 90. Hold on, I get me angle right here. This is the 90 days worth of work that we have ahead of us. And you know, the work that's got 90 days, it's 90 days away today. Tomorrow will be 89, 88, 87. And eventually it'll come up that you'll have to do that job. And eventually it'll turn into money in the bank. Now we're going to look at the other side of the pipeline, which is the feeding in of new work into that pipeline. The first thing that we have to feed into that pipeline is inquiries. People message you on WhatsApp, Facebook, web inquiries, emails, phone calls, whatever. These are inquiries. And some of these inquiries will go nowhere because you just won't want to deal with them, because you don't want to deal with the people. They're not in the right location. It's not they're not the right type of work. So when you get on the phone and you speak to these people, you either cut them loose if they're no good to you, or you've realised they are good for you and they're now prospects. So when you've got the prospects, you're collecting the information from themselves. So now your inquiry started off, they come into you, you filter them out. Now you're contacting your prospects. When you're talking to your prospects, you're then pushing forward to arrange a site inspection, a survey. You're arranging to give them a quote. Now in the prospecting stage, you're asking them certain questions. Where do you got your number from? How many other people are quoting for the job? When would they like the job to start? Do they have the money? These are all these different questions. These are all the different pieces of data that you need to collect, so that you can move them to the next stage in your pipeline. Now, if they want you to do the job and they trust you and they know you and they just don't have the money, well, they're what you call a qualified lead. Okay, but if they have the money and they have a start date and that start date suits your business, well, then they become what's called a HQL, a hot qualified lead. So they've gone from basically strangers, then they inquired with you, and when they inquired with you, you filter through them and they're now prospects. And when you get on the phone to the prospects, you either turn them into leads or you turn them into hot qualified leads, or they're no good. It's one or the other. So we're gone from strangers just walking down the street, picture them walking by your shop, then they stop to look in, they're inquiring, then they come in the door, okay, they say, do you have that in a size 10? Maybe you do. So now they're turning into a prospect. Then you're figuring out, do they have the money? Then you're figuring out when they want to buy. So they're now strangers, inquiries, prospects, either qualified leads or hot qualified leads. And if they're hot qualified leads, they have the money, they want you to do the job, they have the time frame, they have all that boxed off. After that then, after you've gone out and you've done your survey, you've given them the quote. Now bear in mind, different jobs, different types of business will have a slightly different method of delivering the price or whatever else. But it's all the same process with every business, right? So we go again. Strangers, inquiries, prospects, okay? Then we've got leads. They're either qualified leads or they're hot qualified leads. When they're hot qualified leads and you're giving them the quote, you know when the job wants to start, you know you have the money, you bucket them in to do the job. They then become an order. So they're now an order, and then they go into your pipeline and they will become a sale when you complete the work. So when I'm talking to tradesmen and they're telling me that they can't make €500 a day, it's because they're missing a piece somewhere along here. And when I'm talking to them, I'll dive in and I'll figure out exactly what piece of the puzzle is not working for them, which piece of the pipeline there's not, like, and they all start with strangers feeding into inquiries, going to prospects, going to leads. It all starts there, and some people will go faster than others, and some companies will go faster than others depending on the type of service they provide. However, when someone says they can't make money or business is not doing well, my job is to look in and see which piece the blockage is in. So if you're saying that I can't make the money I want to make, it's not that your business is broken, it's that there's a blockage in. So there's a blockage in one part of that pipeline, and I need to figure that out for yourself. So if you still feel that you can't hit the magic €500 profit per day after everything is paid, it's one of those parts, and you need to reach out to me and I'll talk to you and I'll figure out what part that blockage is. Because, for example, I hear people saying, I need somebody to help me out with my advertising and my marketing. And the question I'll ask them is, well, how many inquiries did you get in the last week? I got 20 people inquired. Okay, why do you need someone to help you with the marketing if you're getting people inquire? You need somebody to help you with the closing. And I'll go on to my ruler, which I have it here, my pipeline ruler. And basically the problem there is getting them from HQLs into orders. And in some cases, the problem is that people are trying to push them through too fast, and you can't push them through. You have to know what stage. There's no point in pushing someone through. Like, a guy that owns a shop is not going to grab somebody who just stops for a second and looks in the window and grabs them into the shop and says, buy my stuff. He ain't going to sell on. In the exact same way that if you're of the generation where you're on Tinder and you swipe by and there's some chick sitting there in a wedding dress saying, I'm hoping to meet my man of my dreams, is that you? You're going to swipe away whatever way you swipe. But you want her gone straight away. You know, she's a little bit too optimistic, right? Right? But see, this is the same in business. You need to understand the process. You need to understand we need to go through these things. So when people are saying they're not making the money, they just think it's the market, it's the economy, can't get good staff, can't get this, can't get that. But it's generally something in there. I'll be chatting with lads, and it's easy for tradesmen to say nowadays that, oh, you can't get enough men. I'm like, well, how many men do you have working for you? I have 5 men working for you. And how much money are you making? Oh, well, I'm not making that now. I'm like, well, if you're not making that with 5 men, what makes you think you'll make money with 10 men? Let's go and fix the 5 men issue. Let's fix the profitability issue in the 5-man business, which is probably that he's pricing from the survival zone when he should be really pushing towards pricing from the specialist zone. So people blame stuff all the time but they rarely blame the right thing. And that's what my job is, to reach out for that. So this is for all tradesmen, all business owners, no matter what size your business is, no matter what stage your business is at. If you're not getting the result you want, it's the blockage in the pipeline there, and you need to reach out to me, and I'll get on a call with you, and I'll figure out exactly where the problem is, you know. So guys, hopefully that was beneficial for yourself here today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the top.